We have to stop taking advice from people who are living a lifestyle we do not want. Whether it's someone living a less desirable lifestyle than we would like to have, or someone living a more desirable lifestyle than we would like to have, we need to stop taking advice from people we do not want a lifestyle like. Now, when we often hear this, we think of people who don't have a lifestyle we want. It's so easy to go and think, oh, that person's living a less desirable lifestyle than I would like. I'm not going to follow their advice. That's the easy route. The harder route that people don't often think about or even talk about, that I was talking about recently with my husband, was the fact that sometimes we're listening to people that we don't even want to be like. Like, it sounds amazing to listen to billionaires or multimillionaires, but if you don't aspire to make that much, if you don't want to be a 9-figure earner, for instance, which is someone who makes over 100 million or more, and you know that you don't want to put that work ethic in to even get to that amount of money, then why are we trying to take advice and follow the confines of a lifestyle that they are recommending? Now, the reason I bring this up is because recently 9-figure earner Emma Grede, she is the co-founder of SKIMS and Good American, which are huge brands. They are Kardashian brands. She's the co-founder of this, and she sparked this debate around work-life balance because she went on the Diary of the CEO podcast, which is Stephen Bartlett's podcast. You should look into it. I actually really love his podcast. And on his podcast, he has a lot of amazing guests where you can learn a lot of different things from. Now, one thing Emma said that really caused this debate online was that she claimed that achieving an extraordinary life demands relentless effort, often at the expense of balance. Meaning, in order to achieve a lot that she had in her life, she had to work very hard, which we all know we all have to do a level of hard work. But she also kind of made it seem like she had to hustle a lot of her way there. And she made remarks around people not really having that hustle or that grit as much anymore. And she also made remarks around the workplace expectations around work-life balance, meaning that work-life balance is more on the employee than it is the employer. And that is what really caused a lot of uproar with a lot of people, and why people are questioning her stance on work-life balance. And as someone who is a proponent and a believer in work-life balance, I'm going to explain why I believe in work-life balance, why you should think about it differently than how Emma is actually articulating it. Now, I don't think she is wrong in how she articulated it, based on the stance and where she's at in her lifestyle and the people she's speaking to particularly. And I'm going to go into the depths of that and what I mean. And I'm also going to be giving you in today's episode some tips on how you can achieve better work-life balance and what that can actually look like for you, because it's not really so much about balance. It's more about how you can integrate your work and life in a way that makes sense for you. So I'm really excited to get into this episode. Welcome to the Fire Inside podcast. There's a fire in your heart, ambition in your soul. You know what you want to do, and you know you need to make a change to get there. So how can you do that with more ease? That is what we tackle on this podcast, all things personal development, time management, and what you need to be doing and steps you need to be taking to level up to become your version of your highest self. This podcast is your weekly reminder to stop playing small and start living full out. I'm your host, Sade Kelly, a New Yorker living in Atlanta, wife, mom, and CEO of The Fire Inside, a time management coaching company where I specifically help ambitious women successfully manage their time so they can balance their work, wellness, and relationships in a peaceful manner. Now, like I mentioned in today's episode, I want to get down into the nitty-gritty of work-life balance and my take on what Emma Grede said, and it's because I don't think what she said was wrong. And the reason I say I don't think what she said was wrong is because if you aspire to be a 9-figure, 10-figure earner, right, meaning you want to make 100 million to billions of dollars, then I think you should take her advice, because that would mean that you would want her lifestyle and you want to learn from the route that she went about it. But if you are not someone striving to achieve that, and I think she also mentioned this in the episode, she even said, like, if you are not aspiring to reach the level of achievement that I have reached, then you shouldn't take this advice. And I appreciated her saying that, because I wholeheartedly believe in that part of what she said. Like, if you're not looking to be the co-founder of a huge brand or make the amount of money that she's looking to make, then you shouldn't be taking her idea of work-life balance into perspective for your life. A lot of times people see things online and then they take it to heart just because it's someone who is quote unquote successful. And we all can have our own level of success in different ways. That's why we have to define what success looks like for us. But what happens is we see people go onto these podcasts and they're not like a step or two ahead of us. They're like hundreds of steps or years ahead of us. And we can learn different things from what they say, but we can't take everything they say to heart. Meaning if she says she wakes up at 4:35 exactly every morning, does this elaborate routine, and then goes to work right at 6 a.m., that doesn't mean that that's going to work for you and your lifestyle. So we cannot just hear her say, oh, you shouldn't even worry about work-life balance. You need to just hustle and work hard. And I don't think she used the word hustle because, no one uses that anymore because it's not in right now to say that. Everybody wants to move away from hustle. We all want more ease and balance. But when you hear her say something like you need to work really hard, I'm not saying that you don't need to work hard, but you probably don't need to work as hard as she worked if you're not looking to have what she had. So a lot of the rhetoric around what she said around work-life balance is give or take. It really depends on what you want out of your life. Now, for me, I heard what she said and I went, well, I don't aspire to be a 9 or 10 figure earner. I would be very okay with earning 8 figures. That's actually my goal, right? And 8 figures is anywhere between like 10 million to 99 million, right before the 100 million, right? That would be amazing. But for a lot of people, they don't even want to make that much, right? Like some people want to be 7-figure earners, which I think is a good goal. All of us should want to be at least a millionaire throughout our lifestyle. But other people want to earn 6 figures. Like I think my husband was just telling me, because he's in finance, that the average household in the U.S. needs about close to 100 and something. Maybe it was like the low hundreds. I think it was like 107 or 110, something around that, thousand per year to live comfortably. And if you want to live comfortably, then you probably don't need to listen to what Emma Grede is saying about work-life balance, right? I want to speak to work-life balance because I work with people in all different industries, making all different types of money. And there are some common things that everyone should have when it comes to work-life balance to live a life where you feel peaceful with the amount of hours you're putting into your work and the amount of hours you're putting into your personal life. And a lot of us need to look at it from an integration standpoint. So I want to go through what that looks like for you so that way you know how to define work-life balance for yourself and you know how to actually achieve it in your day-to-day life. And you don't need to just listen to the next guru who says that work-life balance doesn't exist or the person who says it does, or, you don't need to be confused anymore, right? I want to solidify what it can look like, how you can take the principles I'm teaching and then make it your own. I'm not going to just say something that I think you need to follow to the T, but I want you to be able to interpret what I'm saying, do some journaling, do some reflecting, and figure out what's going to work best for you. Now, when I work with clients, I help them to figure this out for themselves. But if you're listening or watching this podcast, I want you to be able to do this for yourself through the lens of what I am educating you on. All right? Sound good? Let's get into it. So the first thing, I want to do some math. So don't get scared if you're scared of math. Don't get scared. It's going to be very simple. I'm going to do the math for you. But let's break down how much time you actually have, all right? So we have 24 hours in a day. We all know that. But oftentimes people are not aware of how much time we have in a week. And I always like to think of time management on a weekly basis because it gives us more leeway. It gives us more time to get things done because we can get a lot more done in a week than we can in a day. We can get a lot more done in a quarter than we can in a month. We can get a lot more done in a year than we can a quarter, yada, yada. You get the point. So we have 168 hours in a week. Now, most of us, if we sleep 8 hours a night, we then allocate 56 hours to sleep. So let's already take 168 minus 56. We get 112 hours left. Now, if we work the standard 8-hour day, I'm going to use that because it's common, right? But you can tweak this as needed. If you work the standard 8-hour day, then we take the 112 hours that you have left after sleeping and minus it by the amount of hours you work, which is 40 hours, you get 72 hours left throughout the week to do whatever it is that you want to do in your personal life. Now, 72 hours sounds like a lot, right? It's a lot throughout the week. That is about 8 to 10 hours, give or take, for everything else going on in your life. It's actually closer to 10, I believe. I'm doing the math. But you have then 10 hours every single day that you can spend doing things in your personal life. Now, that does include commuting and meals and the administrative things of life that we have to get done, but it also can include your self-care, your family time, your fitness, your time with your friends, or doing hobbies or personal development, things that you enjoy, right? It also includes your screen time, right? All those different things. So yeah, I would say that work-life balance is definitely not a myth. It really just depends on how you define it it. Now, for me, I like to think about it very intentionally. I like to think about, am I doing what matters most? Am I integrating my work and my personal life? For some people, they don't like to think about it as balance, because balance by definition means that things are leveled out. And I don't believe things are ever leveled out. So if we get literal with the work-life balance definition, then yeah, balance is not the right word exactly used, because it implies that things are 50-50 or that every part of your life is equal parts, when that's never going to happen for most of us. But we can have work-life integration. We can have work-life harmony. And what that looks like is an intentional integration of our work and our personal life based on our standards and our values. That is very key. If you do not know your standards, if you do not know your values, that is going to directly impact how you are integrating your work with your life. Now, due to all the changes that happened during the pandemic for everyone around the world, the line between work and life has definitely changed, where things are way more intertwined. We realize that we don't need to be in the office as much. We can get a lot done from home. We can get a lot done throughout the day. We can work from anywhere. We can go to a doctor's appointment and still hop on a meeting. Like, we've learned that we could be getting our hair braided and still be on a meeting or getting a project done. Like, there's a lot. We could be literally commuting in the car and on a Zoom call. Like, there's just so many different things we can now do. And a lot of that is multitasking, but a lot of it is also being efficient with your time. It kind of just depends, right? Like, if you are doing two different things that don't intertwine with each other, a lot of times it's great to be doing multiple things at once. But if they are intertwining with each other and they're using so much of your mind that they don't work well together and you're messing up on one or the other, then I don't recommend multitasking. For the most part, we can be more efficient with our time when we are doing different things at once that can correlate and work well together. So when it comes to work-life balance, we have to holistically think about, okay, we have all these hours in the week. We spend about a third of our time at work, which is wild. We spend 90,000 hours at work in our lifetime. And that is based off if you live to about 76, I believe, like around 76 to 80 years old, which is the average lifespan for men and women. I believe it's around that age. Don't quote me on that. You can look that up. But I'm pretty sure that is like the usual life expectancy. And this is the number that they base it off of when they did this study. But 90,000 hours is a lot. A third of our life is a lot of time spent at work. I believe the second thing we spend the most amount of time doing is sleep. So it's a lot of time working, and then the second amount of time is sleep. And we spend way less time socializing, way less time with our family, our friends, on our self-care, our fitness than we actually think we do. And the way screens are now, a lot of us are spending more time watching TV, watching something on our computer, watching something on our phone than we are spending on our personal lives or enriching our lives. So I want you to just even put all of that into perspective. Like, that is wild to think about. Like, we really all want work-life balance, but we haven't actually defined what it looks like, and we haven't gotten as intentional as we could be. And even as I was prepping for this podcast, I was like, wow, even for me, now that things have shifted for me, my schedule with having a baby and being really centered on being a mom first, business owner second, which even now still feels uncomfortable to say. And I'm navigating that, and maybe I should do a podcast on it. Let me know in the comments, because I'm navigating that now, where I'm like, okay, you used to be so work first because you had, certain aspirations, and you still have aspirations, right? You've hit a lot of them, but you still have more you want to get to. But really, right now, you're in a season of wanting to put family first. So what does that look like in terms of how you divide your time up? And for me, it's meant that I had to be more diligent about the hours I'm allocating to work, and really conscious and intentional about the hours I'm giving to family. But then the hours I'm also giving to my self-care, time with my friends, time away from the family, because I do need to also still make sure I'm centered and I'm giving and pouring into myself, which is very easy to get away from, especially when you're a mom. So I'm saying all this to say that I want you to start really thinking about, where is your time going? Where are my values? What season am I in? Because that's going to determine your work-life balance. You may be in more of a hard work, head down mode right now, which means you may need to be sacrificing somewhere else. So that is where Emma Grede went right, where she was saying, like, you have to sacrifice certain things at certain points in your life, but we want to do it in seasons, right? I don't know if that point was really hit by her. We don't want to just do it for years on end. We want to have seasons, and we want to make sure we are intertwining fun no matter what. Even if you're in a heads down, work hard, got to get things done type of mood right now, you still need to get outside, right? We still need to be outside. because you do need downtime. Your brain is not needing to run all of the time. You don't need to be a robot running 24/7. You do need time away in order to even be more creative. I realize I'm more creative when I go for a walk, when I go to an event, when I hang out with my friends, when I go somewhere with my husband. Like when I just get out the house, I'm more creative. And then when I get a break, I'm more rested, I'm more energized, I'm able to show up better for everyone and of course myself. So there's just some things I want you to think about when it comes to achieving work-life balance or harmony or integration, however you want to insert word. I'm going to use work-life balance for the purpose of the rest of this episode because I do believe you can achieve work-life balance because I have changed what balance is for me. I have defined it as me aligning my values with how I want to intentionally spend my time between my work and my personal life. As simple as that. So when it comes to work-life balance, the first strategy I want to discuss is allocating time based on your values. So we touched on this, but let's go a little more in depth. So I want you to start thinking about what are your values. So for instance, just so you can get an idea of what values are, and you can Google this and look up or even go in ChatGPT and like write examples of values or ask it, what do you think my values are based on what you know about me? Like it really could know a lot of things about you. But some of my values are freedom, inner peace, health, honesty, growth, optimism, and creativity. So I need to make sure that everything I'm doing in my life on a daily or weekly or at least monthly basis is touching on those points because those things matter to me. They are things that I value. They might not match what you value. So your time may not need to be aligned with these values that I'm saying. So write down your values. Everything in your life should be really surrounded by your values. My clients often really love that I speak about this when it comes to time management. This is not something a lot of people talk about. A lot of people want to tell you about time blocking. They want to tell you about creating an amazing schedule and creating systems, right? But then who's asking you when they're working on your time management or your productivity or how you can be more disciplined and effective? Who's asking you, hey, what do you value? What do you care about the most? Let's start aligning it with you because even if I give you my schedule and my exact system, it may not work for you because it may not match your values. So write down your values. And this is something I want you to revisit when you're feeling off or out of alignment. Hey, am I doing things that make me feel free? Am I doing things that make me feel like I'm growing? Am I doing things that are aligned with good health? Am I doing things that make me feel creative or optimistic? Then maybe I'm out of alignment. I know for me, that is one of the gut checks I always do first. So use your values as a guide to what you're going to use your time doing because it's also going to affect your energy and how you show up because you do want to make sure that you're doing things that energize you. And often if they're not aligned, they're not energizing you. Your core values are very important because they act as a compass to help you lead an amazing life that you want. So use them as a director to help you go into the right direction of where you want to be. Now, not only do you need to have the right core values when it comes to your productivity and your time management, but you also need to have it overall in all the different areas of your life. So if you're feeling off with your purpose or you're not really sure what your why is, revisit your core values because that is going to help you to figure out where your time should be going and what habits you may need to implement into your life to just live happier, more content, and healthier. Another strategy is I want you to, of course, align and intentionally plan. I don't know how many times I can come on this podcast and talk about planning, but planning is very important. Now, action taking is, I would argue, even more important, but planning is that first step where you can carve out time for what matters most. So now that you know your values, you know you want to achieve more balance between your work and your life, you may be feeling a little off, and this is when you're going to think about, okay, how can I plan in fun things into my life? I'm someone who will put fun on the calendar and I will figure out where and what I'm going to be doing that's going to be fun. And I want to make sure that my evenings are very intentional because I spend a good amount of time during the day with my son, taking care of him, and a good amount of time working or on coaching calls. And then my evenings are mine where I'm like, okay, do I want to hop back on work and learn something new in marketing? Do I want to hop on a call with a friend? Do I want to go out to dinner? Do I want to hang out with my husband and watch a movie? Do I want to do a puzzle? Do I want to color? Like, what do I want to do that is helping me touch on my values and touch on the different aspects of my life that matter most to me? So get intentional. Start theming or thinking about your days different ways. Like I used to even take tennis classes before I had my son. I was taking tennis tennis, and then, you have to stop tennis when you're pregnant. So, but I was taking tennis, and I was like I believe it was every Thursday. It was like tennis Thursdays. I knew after work I was going to play tennis. I invited like 4 of my friends, and it was a class. I encouraged them all basically to take with me, and we all went and played tennis, and it was fun. I had like my tennis Thursdays, and then maybe I had my movie Mondays. Like, make it fun. You can really tie days to certain things that you like to do, just so you can be more intentional. Because one thing I've noticed with working with as many ambitious women as I've worked with hundreds of people on their systems, their schedules, and their discipline and their mindset, is that we often take work so serious, but we don't take our personal life as serious. And I want us to take it more serious, because when we take our personal life as serious as our work life, we will carve out the time to do it. Now, if you really love your work, then I would say make sure that you are, carving out more time for work if that's something you enjoy and you actually have fun and it's something aligned with your values. But for a lot of people, I believe it's about 40% of people, they're not really aligned with their work and they probably want to quit. So if you're in that boat, really think about like how you can start pivoting, how you can start doing things outside of your work, whether it's your business or 9 to 5. If you're not really enjoying the work that you're doing, it may be time to make a shift, because we spend a third of our lives working, 90,000 hours. That's crazy. We spend so much time working. We do want to make sure that eventually we're doing something that we enjoy, whether it's at the job, we're finding something that we can do that we enjoy. And I think everyone can find something like that. Like if you are working a 9 to 5 and you're like, there's nothing I enjoy about my job, I'll question that. Because even for me, there was aspects of my job when I was working a 9 to 5 that I didn't enjoy. But then there were aspects of my job that I made myself enjoy. Like there was a sector that I would make for myself. Like I remember having a role as hosting events, like something that not part of my job description, but I really loved it. And I was allowed to do that at work. So I would do more of that. Or I really liked integrating teams or planning things for the team. Like bringing people together. Certain ads I like to work on better than others. Certain campaigns I like to own more than others. Like there was things I still could own. And then I started side hustles outside of my day job. So I would host events on my own. I had an e-commerce business. I had a blog. Like there were things I was enjoying learning and growing in my business. And it wasn't just about money. It was like passion behind it. And people will argue about this, whether you need passion behind things, whether you need to just be doing things for money. I think if you're doing things just for money, it won't really pan out long term. You really want to make sure you're serving before anything else. Like, of course, the money matters. We all want to make money. Like I said, I want to be an 8-figure earner, okay? But I also want to serve people first. And I think through serving people and having a really purposeful intention of, I want to make sure that every single ambitious person, specifically women particularly, that I encounter and that I can help, I want to help them to be able to see that when they get intentional with their time, how it's spent, how they manage it, they truly will enjoy and live the life of their dreams. Because I promise you, I've done it, and I have seen so many other women just need to make tweaks with how they're utilizing their time, make tweaks with their discipline, make tweaks with their systems and their mindset, and getting clear on what they actually want makes the largest difference in living a quality life. A lot of times people think they have all the time in the world, and you do have a lot of time, but you don't have all the time in the world. We are here for a finite time, and I want you to stop wasting that time. You are here for a certain amount of years, and we don't know how long God wants us to be here, right? So I really want to make sure that you are utilizing every single moment to your ability, and I'm so purposefully driven by that. A lot because of the things I've been through in my life and the people who I've seen pass away before I believe that they even got to touch their potential kills me. It really kills me when I think about that. So every day that I get and every day that you get is truly a gift. So be present in it and maximize your time. So, and that comes from making sure you are aligning your time with your values. You are aligning your actions with your values. You are making time for that personal life as well as your work. And you are actually intentionally planning and time blocking and getting things and really allocating those hours that you have to where you want to be spending it so you feel fulfilled. Now, the third thing I want you to do is protect your time. Now that you've planned it out, you have to now set those boundaries and be disciplined about it. You need to set limits on the things you're doing. If you're telling yourself you're going to do something for 2 hours, do it for the 2 hours and let it be. If you don't finish it, allocate more time to it at a later time. Don't let yourself get set back because you're allowing yourself to go over time and you're not being disciplined as you said you were going to be. You gain confidence when you do things that are hard and you follow through on what you say you're going to do. That is how you become more disciplined. That is how you become more confident. So make sure you are guarding your time. Guard your evenings, guard your weekends, guard your work time, guard your personal time. Say no without the guilt. Stand on business. All right. Invest time into your hobbies, your wellness, your relationships, the things that matter most to you. Invest time in your core values. Now, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Of course, I'm going to leave you with an action item. This week, I would love for you to just take at least 10 minutes and reflect on these questions. What do I actually value? What are my core values? Am I spending my time in alignment with my core values? What is one small shift I can make this week to honor my priorities? And if you didn't catch those questions, I'll actually leave them in the show notes as well, so you can really sit down and think through your answers around this, because balance is not something you're just going to find. It's not going to just fall into your life. It is something you're going to have to create for yourself, or hire me as your coach to help you create it as well. But I really want you to be able to achieve work-life balance on your terms. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, you know someone else who would benefit from it, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode. And if you are ready to take your time and your goals to the next level, and you know you would benefit from having support and someone to walk you through this, I do have coaching spots available, and I would love to do a time audit with you to see if we're a good match. You can always find that in the show notes. I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye.